Hey guys, it's me, your boy, GoDiddler666. No wait, just a sec guys, I used the wrong intro there. Hello there, guys and girls of all teenagers. It's me, that one pretentious guy you watch more so out of frustration and morbid curiosity than anything else. Today I have the second installment of throwing the Wolfang goat himself at other franchises to see if he could absolutely ass blast them. And for this episode I decided on Bleach to be the franchise of choice. Now, if you have not seen the first installment to this, I guess you could call it a beginning series by now. I do actually recommend you watch that one first. I will do a small recap of Yamcha's scaling I use for these videos, but there is a more in-depth version in that first episode. I just thought it would be pretty pointless to redo the entire examination every single video. I respect you guys' time too much for that. And alongside that, there is also a bit more explanation as to why I am using Yamcha specifically and not somebody else for these types of videos. I will try to insert one of those puppy-uppy thingies in this video so you can go straight there, but if my technologically illiterate ass can't figure that one out, I will also just put a link to that video in the description down below. And lastly, before we begin, I would like to once again thank my wonderful subscribers for bringing this idea to my attention to begin with. But first things first, let's do a short recap of how strong Yamcha is during these videos as a bit of a frame of reference for you guys. For these videos, I place Yamcha at a power level of roughly 60,000 during his defenses of the Earth against the galactic prisoners during the Moro saga of Dragon Ball Super. Now you might be thinking to yourself, isn't that rather low? And I can see why you might think that, because when it comes to Dragon Ball, especially like late Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, 60,000 is not a very impressive number this late in the game. But I also want you to keep in mind that he would be half as strong as Captain Ginyu at 50% of his full power. This easily makes Yamcha capable of being a planetary level fighter on the level of Frieza's most feared soldiers. So with this little baseline set, let's begin today's video. Alright, Bleach. Where to start? Bleach is kind of like the odd one out when it comes to power scaling out of the, I suppose, bigger anime franchises from back in the day. Whilst we do not really see people blowing up literal planets, we do see people manipulating and tearing through dimensions, which is a feat that is depicted as being far above planetary level in the world of Dragon Ball. This immediately makes Bleach a bit more tricky to scale than your One Pieces and your Narutos. I really hate to admit this, but even though One Piece and Naruto are totally not my cup of tea, both of these franchises absolutely shit on both Dragon Ball and Bleach when it comes to making power scaling more realistic, I suppose. And I get that realistic is a horribly bad term to use here because, you know, newsflash, the franchises are within the fantasy genre for a reason. It's meant to be unrealistic. But Dragon Ball and Bleach specifically just do a horrible job at power scaling and giving characters new powers, I suppose. In Dragon Ball, people just pull transformations out of their asses. Like, I mean, I love the forms, but Orange Piccolo and Beast Gohan, kinda ass pulls, like, don't lie, they're cool and all, but kind of bit of an ass pull. And in Bleach, we have Ichigo being half human, half Quincy, half Soul Reaper, half outer fucking god, half British citizen. The horrors just don't stop. But getting back on track here, there are actually a handful of people in Bleach which I could see literally being capable of straight up destroying a planet. You have Ewok, you have Aizen, you have the Soul King, you have Ichibei, you have Yamamoto, obviously Don Kanonji, come on now, be honest, and you of course have Ichigo himself. But aside from these guys, there are plenty of people that might not directly be able to blow up a planet, but can instead tear through a dimension, rip somebody's souls out of somebody's body, like you name it. The biggest issue with Bleach, and many other franchises to be completely fair, is that a lot of the characters are mainly backed up, so to say, by word of mouth. But we don't actually see anyone destroying a planet, for example. Now, personally, I am on the side that several Bleach characters being capable of destroying planets does not seem too far-fetched to me or anything like that. But there is also a large amount of people who do not believe this, and I can also kind of get that. But Bleach is not a franchise you can judge solely based on is this character country level or is this character planetary level types of logic, at least in my opinion. Bleach focuses more so on special techniques rather than raw power. Quite the opposite of Dragon Ball. Yamcha might be planetary at a power level of 60,000, but that does not mean you need to be specifically above that number of power level to beat him. For example, take Ishida's ability to swap damage between two people, for example. That could be a devastating way to drastically lower Yamcha's odds of winning. Or maybe Grammy's ability to turn fantasy into reality. I'm sure there's some implications of that ability that could make life really damn difficult for Yamcha. Through methods like these, Bleach has multiple ways to beat pretty damn strong enemies without being pretty damn strong themselves, if that makes any sense, really. In terms of raw power, I fully believe Yamcha has pretty much everyone beat. But if you were to ask me if he could completely defeat everyone in Bleach, my answer would most likely be a pretty swift no. Now, when I put Yamcha against One Piece, I fully believed he could outperform any type of cheat ability or hack or whatever you want to call it One Piece could throw at him. This was mostly due to Yamcha being so incredibly above every single One Piece character in power that the chances of him losing to one of those hack abilities seemed pretty unlikely to me. However, if we were to replace One Piece with Bleach, my opinion changes. Characters in Bleach are simply much stronger than characters in One Piece are as a baseline. You can mold all you want about that, but it's just plain true in it. Like, you really can't argue against that. Bleach is just, in general, like as a baseline, a couple of tiers above One Piece. Now, this is not to say that Yamcha would just instantly lose and get swept aside like that. Yamcha would still shit on the majority of Bleach. But if a lot of these stronger guys work together, I think they have a clear advantage over Yamcha. I think you can quite comfortably name at least 10 characters that could have a realistic chance of beating Yamcha. Like we said earlier, you have Ewok, Grammy, Ishida, Ichigo, Ichibei, Aizen, the Soul King, Yamamoto, Ugram, Jared Valkyrie or Valkyrie or whatever, how you want to pronounce it, right? I'm doing it on my own way, so please don't crucify me for that. One more. What's the guy? Barrow, I think his name is, like the guy with the gun, right? He probably also stands a pretty good chance. To be honest, I can pretty confidently say that most of the guys just mentioned could also destroy One Piece by themselves. But just imagining several of these guys actually banding together, or god forbid all of them working together to fight poor Yamcha, he would not stand a chance. I don't believe so anyway. But then again, I just named 10 of them, but I'm sure there is 10, 20, 30, maybe even more characters that could theoretically beat Yamcha. Now, I will admit that a lot of people oftentimes gas up Bleach way too much. But on the other hand, Bleach isn't some pushover franchise, man. I reckon you need at least a first form Frieza with his entire army behind him to stand a realistic chance of fully conquering or destroying, or whatever term you want to use, you know, the Bleach universe. But yeah, that's pretty much my conclusion. I actually don't think Yamcha could single-handedly beat Bleach. Maybe this wasn't what some of you were expecting, but I personally feel pretty comfortable with that statement. But like I said before, I can also imagine that, you know, you do think Yamcha can beat Bleach, because doing these types of videos, it's never really a black or white kind of thing, because depending on circumstances, depending on the condition of characters, depending on who Yamcha faces at a time, if he faces everyone together, it's an entirely different scenario than if he were to just be able to, theoretically pick them off one by one. But it's a pretty difficult type of video to make, because I don't think there is a really 100% correct answer to this in the slightest. Bleach fans will likely find ways that Bleach could defeat Yamcha, whilst Dragon Ball fans would likely find ways where Yamcha could really defeat Bleach. But I more so like to do my own little analysis, I suppose, of what I think would happen. And the way I see it, Yamcha would enter the world of Bleach through whatever methods. Maybe, he got swept up in the Heroes universe and just got shit out in Bleach. Whatever, just saying. At the beginning, when he's just, discovering things, he might get attacked a bit, he would handle himself perfectly fine. But once people like the Soul Society, the Espada, the Quincy's, once they figure out, oh shit, there's this incredibly strong guy that shoots death lasers from his arms, we might have to do something about this. I don't think it's, completely far-fetched to say that some of these guys could band together and actually, unite the factions in Bleach against Yamcha. Because even though Ewok is very prideful, Aizen is kind of a cunt, Ichigo is, Ichigo is probably the one most likely to team up with people. you know, I think they could put their differences aside to beat Yamcha, but then again, I don't think they all need to come together. Maybe if even 2 or 3 of these guys were to fight together, I think Yamcha would be in for a world of pain, because whilst he's very strong, he's nowhere near unbeatable, like, let's be completely honest. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Do you think I underestimated Bleach, or did I maybe overestimate Yamcha? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching today's video. As per usual, I truly do appreciate every single viewer that actually takes the time out of their day to watch my content. I'm sure you have like a million better things to do than watch my crusty ass talk about anime. But you know, it still makes me very happy to know that even a handful of people actually enjoys the content I produce. So if you would like to see more of my content in the future, please consider clicking the subscribe button and turning on all notifications for my channel. I would also really appreciate it if you would consider liking the video, leaving a comment with your thoughts down below, maybe even checking out another one of my videos in the sidebar, which I hope there's actually some of my videos there right now, otherwise I sound really stupid. But yeah, work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty, and I will see you all again in the next video. Peace out.